Hey, Miss Kelly, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing, Shanese?
I'm doing good. It's good to see you. Like, actually see you because the last time we conversed was over the phone.
Right.
So we were
Yeah.
hearing each other's voices, but it's actually good to see you again.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I
You're
want
looking
to tell
great.
people, thank you. You look great
Yeah.
too.
Oh,
I want to
thanks.
tell people how I met you. My friend, who is a therapist too,
Yeah.
she actually she's in Syracuse. She lives in Syracuse, and then she visited Atlanta. And she's like, "Hey, I'm in Atlanta because you guys had a thing going on, certain
Hmm.
kind of conference." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Okay, cool, girl. I come by to come see you." And then I came to see her, and I just got ambushed with a whole networking experience. She was like, "Hey guys, this is my friend Shanice. She's a life coach and da da da." And then all of a sudden, I had to put on my "I'm here to do business" attitude. But it
Yeah.
was really good. I was talking to Dr. Seward. I was talking with Dr. Seward, and I think you probably overheard me talking about my business. And then you were like, "Oh, I want to talk to you." And then it
Yeah.
just went from there. We had a great conversation. I was like, I got
Yeah.
to reconnect with Kelly. So tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do,
Yeah.
and
So what's that?
all that good stuff.
And all that good stuff. Yeah. I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I was at that conference it was the Association for Counselors of Education and Supervision, because I'm currently getting my doctorate in counseling and counselor education.
Nice.
I've worked in the field with all ages, so really as young as like almost two to older adults living in like senior living facilities.
Mhm.
Done some play therapy, talk therapy, dance movement stuff, and mostly focusing on now like college age students. And my work now is with that population. So yeah.
Okay, that's dope. What kind of age group do you prefer the most?
I really do like the college students because they just sometimes for the first time in their life, they have all these tools and resources at their disposal,
Mhm.
and can also sometimes for the first time be, out of where they grew up,
Yeah.
whether that be in their parents' home or wherever. And that just opens them up for figuring out, okay, who am I? What do I want? What, are my goals? Where do I want to go from here? Um, and my work is getting to help them figure that out and then see where they want to take their path and make the changes to
That's
see,
so
make that.
dope. That's dope because that's basically what I do. Like my
Mhm.
my target audience, as I was telling you before, is really like high school and college graduates
Mhm.
because I remember being in that position or at that stage and I just had no clue of what I wanted to do with my life or where I wanted to go. Because especially when you're stepping out of the college life where the school provides a schedule for your life and your daily living, you have to now step into the real world where you create your own schedule to get the productive to be productive. And so that was kind of a jarring transition for me. And so what I did to kind of get myself through that was write down the things that I love to do, why I care to do it. Every single thing I'd write down. If I like walking, I would write it down. If I liked encouraging people, I'd write it down. Every single thing, right? And
Yeah.
then I looked down the list and I said, okay, how can I make money from these things? And that's how photography and life coaching came to be. Because I'm like, I like to take pictures. So how about photography? And then I was like, I like to encourage people. So how about life coaching? But I didn't look at life coaching. I didn't look at what I like to do as in encouraging people as life coaching. It was my own dad, who is the kind of person that likes to put labels on things because he likes to understand what is it that you really do, you know? And that's good to have those kinds of people who like to put some labels sometimes. And so when I told him, I don't know, I just like pushing people, encouraging them, motivating them. What do I do? I want people to walk in their purpose and all that jazz, kind of like what you're doing. And he was like, okay, so life coaching. So that's how I knew or learned about life coaching. And then then I found out about this course and I did that course and now I'm a certified life coach. So, but it all started with me writing down a list of things that I like to do. So because that process worked for me, I started from there and now I'm owning my own business. I thought it might work for somebody else.
Mhm.
So I do that for people. I'm like, hey, this is what we can do. But especially since getting the certificate in life coaching, I've just been able to add more meat to it. So it's not just me wanting to motivate you or inspire you, but I actually have practical ways, and I have a system that can encourage practical ways for you to get to where you want to be. So that's where, you know, the whole desire, that's why I have that target audience, because I know what they're going through. I'm like, hey, man, I've been through it and I'm still going through it, but I can lead you along the way or help you and actually partner with you along the way.
Yeah, I think that's something I love about just the helping field, and whether it be life coaching or counseling, using your own experience to help someone else.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we talked a little bit about like our spirituality and things like that, and where our own personhood comes into play when we're working with other people. Obviously, understanding where they're at and what makes them tick, but yeah, using ourselves as like a vessel to help other people move forward.
Exactly. And you'll find a lot of speakers say the thing that works for their craft as a speaker is that they can tell someone that, hey, I've been through this, right? So I know how to help you through. Let me show you how, right? All right. So today we wanted to talk on that nice little juicy topic called unmotivation or lack of motivation. Some people say unmotivation is not a word, but I call it a word. I wanted to talk about it just because a lot of people are dealing with that. I find myself dealing with that too sometimes, and I find it very difficult to kind of push through that. So I just think it's a topic that many people would really appreciate to hear from the perspective of a therapist and a life coach, right? So I guess I want to start with, what in your words does motivation or unmotivation mean?
Okay. So unmotivation to me can feel like a block, or, you know, clients come and they don't feel like they can get out of bed in the morning. They don't feel like doing the things that maybe they feel like they should do. And I think a lot of that can stem from not living to your values or to your purpose. So like your example of writing down everything that you actually like to do and then going from there, makes sense as to why you were able to do the things that you're actually passionate about, and that gives you energy. Versus if you're writing down a list of things that people expect of you to do, or that you think you should do because you heard it somewhere, it can be really not inspiring to want to like do those things. So I think it's a kind of the experience of potentially that, like not living to your purpose, but maybe living for what you think you should be doing. But also at the same time, even if you are living for your purpose, there are some things that you might not want to do on your day-to-day basis that kind of you have to do. You got to pay the bills, you got to do all the stuff. And that can be overwhelming sometimes. I think the more we think, oh, there's all this stuff I have to do, the less and less we want to tackle that mountain. So I think looking at things from a perspective of like, it's too much, I don't want to do that, or I'm not interested in doing that, can have us feeling unmotivated.
It's true. Like if you don't have a personal connection to that thing that you're doing, then it's going to be tough. You know, when you mentioned that sometimes when people are writing down a list of things that they like to do, they're actually writing down a list of things that everybody else likes to do, or that everybody else thinks they should be doing. Right? So writing down financial advisor when you hate numbers, but just because your mama told you that one time, honey, that's how you're gonna make money, and that's what I think you should do. So all of a sudden you're writing financial advisor. You can't even fully write the whole term out because you're so already uninterested. So how are you going to be? I mean, and also, as you said, even when you're walking in your purpose, you have moments of unmotivation because you feel overwhelmed with all the other things that you don't necessarily want to do, but you have to. So, I mean, if you're going to find moments of unmotivation while you're going in your passion, in the lane of your passion, then how much more unmotivated will you feel when you're going towards something you don't even care for? So I guess the smart thing to do, find what you care about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We wanted to talk about what makes people feel unmotivated sometimes, and how it can be how they were raised, right? And so we kind of compared home raising, I guess you'd call it, how you're raised, to learned attributes, right? Because it's one thing when you're at home and you're raised a certain way, or you see your parents always moving through, pushing past feelings and moving through unmotivation. So you kind of do the same thing, but it's another thing when you don't see that, right? And maybe when you go to college, you see other kids doing that whole push through the unmotivation, and then you learn that attribute that way. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think you touched on a lot of great points too. And an additional one that you might have parents that have pushed through, or guardians that have pushed through unmotivation, but potentially those parents or guardians also didn't really have you do that pushing for yourself.
Right. That's
Yeah, right. So if you were able to, oh, I'm not interested in that, and at the first sign of difficulty, not have to do, quit the sport or whatever. Obviously, it's great to like branch out and try a bunch of different things, but to have some practice in that resiliency, it might not have been there growing up. So once you're at a place where you no longer have somebody, taking care of you, especially at that college age, or graduating high school and sort of going off into your own world, it's a matter of like, you haven't had those muscles built up yet of resiliency, or of maybe living for your purpose, which would be amazing to already know what your purpose is at that age.
right.
But when those hard things come up, reminding yourself like, okay, this is a path toward where I want to go. And I think people can feel unmotivated just from having from feeling like it's not possible to break through these walls. It's not possible to strengthen that resilience muscle. But it is, and it's been proven that it can be. And we talked about like David Goggins. He's very motivational.
That guy crazy. That guy crazy. I don't know. His motivation level is like up here, and sometimes
Yeah.
I'm like, sir, I don't know.
Right,
if you
right.
have half his motivation, will succeed in life.
Exactly. Yeah. If you could just take a pinch of his
Just a
motivation, yeah, you'd be soaring. So, yeah, he's got some great tools on building that resiliency, and also some techniques of taking a look at what have you accomplished in your life so far. Maybe it's little things, and then building those little things up, or being able to remind yourself, I have done this before, maybe in a different way, I can do it again. Sometimes unmotivation, like in my clients, will look like procrastination. So putting off the stuff they don't want to do because it feels so overwhelming. And the more you put it off, the harder it seems. One of the tools that I like to use is like the procrastination list, where you write down the thing that you're putting off. It sounds like we have a theme of writing stuff down, but write down the thing that you're putting off.
Started on journaling.
Yeah. Oh, me too. And then next to that thing that you're putting off, write down on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, how awful it's going to be doing it, or how daunting, or how much you don't want to do it.
Yes.
And then do the thing and write down on a scale of 1 to 10 or 1 to 5, again, whatever you chose the first time, how bad was it actually? And once you've got a whole list of things you didn't want to do, plus their numbers before and after, a lot of times, most times, so far, every time that I've done this with a client, they've noticed that the numbers are much less bad once the item has been actually done. So looking at that sheet, you can say, okay, this actually isn't that bad. So the next time that activity comes up, you can think back to that number of like, this is actually going to be a 2. I'm not going to worry about it like it's a 10. I'm just going to get it done.
That's so good and effective. One of the things I do find scales to be so helpful in that way, because I remember somebody asking me, how you feeling? And it's very easy to just say, I'm good, I'm fine, God is good. But when she came back to me with this question, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling? So I was like, oh, okay, I think a 7. It really puts things into perspective. And that's why I use that system a lot with my clients too, right? Because we just find it to be very effective. If I'm asking, because with my thing, I'm trying to find what it is that is your purpose, right? When I'm talking with my client. So then they write down their list of things in one of the activities that we do. And then I say, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it to you? And then I'll keep asking the same question in different ways until they really get honest with themselves. And sometimes if it's at a 70%, 7 out of 10, let's not even go there. Let's find something that is at least an 8 out of 10, because you're not going to feel motivated to do it. You're not connected enough to it. There's not the personal, you don't have any strings attached to it. There's no personal connection. The connection is not strong enough. So, because when life's challenges do come, that connection is going to break. I think of, like people being in a boat and the boat is kind of half built. So when it goes on water on a regular, beautiful, fair day, it manages, it gets you from one destination to the next. But when a stormy day comes, which a stormy day will come, that boat will break and you will have a Titanic experience. with Jack, Jack and what was Jack's girlfriend name again? Rose. Right? And Jack died. So we don't want that experience.
You don't want to die like Jack. No.
We do not want to be freezing in the water. Right. So please get a strong boat and ship to be in from the beginning that can withstand the pressures of life, i.e. the storms. Yeah. So scales really important. Another thing that you mentioned was that sometimes we have to remind ourselves, right? I've done this before, actually. And that is like we have to remind, like with the clients when they're feeling like this is an impossible feat to take on, or I'm just so uninspired and unmotivated, you say, hey, when you were met with a challenge, this is one of the things I tell my clients, when you were met with a challenge, first, let's think to one of the most challenging experiences you ever had. And they're like, okay, there's that one time where I didn't know if I could, but I did. And that ticks something in their brain, like a light bulb goes off and they're like, actually, I'm capable. I can do this. I've been met with a block before and I've figured out how to get over it. So number one, I'm able to. So that's a changed perspective right there. And I think that's the beginning of like the right actions. It's the beginning, is the very start of your journey towards your purpose and actually getting it done. Just that change perspective where you now understand that, yes, I can do it because I've done it before, even though it was a completely different scenario before. The fact is I'm the same person with the same wonderful mind and brain and capabilities. And so if I've done it before in a different situation, I could do it again in this unique situation. That change perspective is like a stint of motivation that can get you going in the beginning, right? Then you have your strong boat that you're in that will withstand the storm. Because you're gonna be unmotivated sometimes.
Yes. Yeah, it's gonna happen.
It is. So I wanted to mention, do you think pushing past feeling is the right thing to do? Because in our field, we're always like, what are you feeling?
Right.
We base much. I know I base a lot of my activities on having people recognize how they feel. So then how am I going to be telling people to push past feelings? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Right. Yeah. A quote that I came across recently that I really like, and it has really stuck with me, is by Carl Rogers, and he's a humanistic psychologist. He was like one of the founding people. He said, the curious paradox is when I accept myself as I am, then I can change. Ooh. So yeah, so it kind of puts in perspective, like the maybe flack that sometimes we can get for, feel your feelings and accept them. This is valid. It's a way of actually making things happen. So one of the beauties of listening to your feelings, accepting them, allowing yourself to have feelings to begin with, is recognizing that those feelings are just pieces of information for you. They don't have to rule your life. They don't have to control your mind. If you're feeling like anxious or unmotivated, whatever your feeling is, and maybe there's deeper feelings underneath that unmotivation too. Maybe there's like fear of failure. Maybe there's just overwhelming stress. You've got other things going on. Whatever feelings are behind that unmotivation, try to, imagine those feelings as somewhere within you. So maybe finding in your body, like, where do I feel this fear? Is that at the top of my stomach? Is that in my chest? Where am I feeling it? And maybe even giving it like a color, a shape, a texture, whatever, to give that feeling, basically to take that feeling and make it into something tangible. Once that happens, it can really help your brain and your heart to feel like, oh, this is a feeling. It's separate from me as a unit. So like this feeling is, I have it. I have this. It doesn't have me. It's not like part of me. It's a piece of me. And then it's some information that I can use, like, oh, why am I feeling afraid of this? Have I had feelings of failure before? Where was I getting those messages from? And it can really help someone to like understand themselves better, what might be blocking them from not feeling motivated, what they might be afraid of on the other side of completing something, and be able to sit with those feelings. Like you said, the difference between pushing past the feelings. I think it's helpful to recognize the feelings, accept them, and then they kind of we can naturally be like, okay, I have this and it's okay. And that once we've accepted that, then we can change and say, I've got this anxiety, but I'm gonna go do my thing anyway. I've got this fear of failure. I think it's because of this and this. That's not happening right now. I'm gonna go do my thing.
That's good. That is so good. So then there is importance in separating the feeling from yourself, seeing it as its own entity that you possess right now, but it is not who you are. Okay, that makes sense. And that is kind of what, I do too. In my sessions, I will say that you said the whole deeper feelings under unmotivation, because it's one thing to say, okay, I feel like I don't want to do this, but it's another thing to actually go through the process of figuring out why that is so. And then when we start digging deep, we find that it's connected to that one time when your daddy left and he didn't tell you that he was leaving to go to the store, and you woke up with nobody in the house. And that happened when you were 5 years old. That is usually, if something like that resurfaces, that only comes from doing the very necessary activity of digging deep, right? Because everything has a source. Nothing just exists and stands on its own just like that. There's an attachment to everything. I'm a very visual person, so I'm thinking about that movie. I don't remember what's the name of the movie, but it's that Venom character that looked really awful. And like, it's a little black piece of squid looking thing that attaches itself to a human being, right? And kind of works alongside the human being, to do stuff. Once it finds a living being, it attaches itself. And so sometimes when that guy doesn't want to be attached to the squid thing, he tries to literally detach himself, and you see the strings in between as he's detaching himself from the thing. And that's the visual I get when I think about, what you feel right now. The squid is what you feel, and you are who you are, but there's an attachment between you and that little odd squid. And even though you're trying to take it off of you, it can't, because there's too much connections. So then figure out where those connected lines are leading to. Where are those connected lines pointing to within you? Is it abandonment issues? Is it, fear of failure, as you said? What is it? And when you find that and get rid of that, then the little attachment that y'all got right here will be cut. The
I
spirit can go
love
find some other
that.
human being, and you can be a free person. So
Yes.
maybe what we need to do when we're feeling the unmotivation is take some time out, reflection time, journaling time. I'm obsessed with journaling.
Yep.
And just try to figure out, man, where is it attached to? Where is this really coming from? And the whole time you're doing that activity, I'll do as you suggest, is see the feelings as its own entity, separate from you, right? I am not fear. I am feeling fearful, right? I am not anxiety. I am feeling anxiety. We got to understand that. That's
Yep.
so good. It's blowing my mind.
Yeah, I love that image of I remember that scene in whatever Spider-Man or something.
It
I
was
don't know.
it's not Spider-Man, but it's one of those, I don't want to embarrass myself on here. I don't know if it's a Marvel movie or something, but it's that Venom guy and it looked terrible. And then we also saw feelings as passing clouds. It's one of the things that we mentioned before, which I wanted to have you explain that again, because I think that's such a great analogy.
Yeah. Someone I really, whose work I really admire is Eckhart Tolle. And he's pretty famous for like meditation and being present in the now. There's a book that he wrote called The Power of Now. One of the like sentiments of that book is to notice your mind as basically a vessel to hold thoughts and hold feelings potentially. But again, that you are not your thoughts and feelings, those are within you. So basically like using your brain as a calculator. Sometimes the calculator takes over and does work we don't need it to be doing. It's like ruminating over thoughts that we don't want to stress about right now, or we give into that and we like to stress about those thoughts. It feels comforting because we're used to that. But he would argue to begin to practice using your tool only when you want it. So be able to say, okay, this is, just like we said, the feelings are separate, the thoughts are separate, and being able to maybe view them in front of you like the passing clouds. So that's something that a lot of meditation apps and stuff also use, that metaphor of passing clouds. And I just find it really helpful to basically imagine you are, looking at your mind, which sounds really weird, maybe closing your eyes and looking at your mind. And each and every thought or feeling that's coming across your mind is floating within a cloud. Those thoughts might go fast or might go slow. It might be a really stormy day. It might just be like some clouds, but the goal is to recognize those thoughts, acknowledge that they're there, accept them, just like the feelings, and let them keep going. Let them keep blowing by with the breeze, so that eventually you can begin to see maybe that blue sky behind the clouds and the emptiness, and having your mind be that calculator that's not turned on right now, that you get a break from the thinking.
So what is one practical way in which someone could engage in such an activity? Because I know you said that we can literally just kind of sit still and close our eyes and imagine. I guess tell us a little bit more about how that process of imagining goes.
Yeah, I think practically a really great way to try this, if you haven't before, is download the free app Headspace. It's only free for a little bit. There's like a 10-day free trial. But I literally did that once, at just the 10-day free trial. And I think one of the first things they do is that cloud exercise. And it's someone walking you through a guided meditation of imagining your thoughts as clouds. A lot of times you connect with your breath and your breathing and your body, to be able to calm the nervous system down so that you can focus on the thoughts. So that's one way to do it. There's Headspace, there's the Calm app, there's a million different meditation apps out there. So basically, if you're interested, you can jump around to the free trials and never settle on one.
Gotcha.
Or YouTube also offers guided meditation. So I mean, if you put in guided meditation, you might get some clouds, you might get some leaves in a river, whatever metaphor basically you want to use, or the app or YouTube is using, it does the same thing. So if you're imagining you are a river and leaves are falling on you, and your thoughts are the leaves and they're going down the river, and you're not worried about it. Because a river doesn't care if there's leaves. A sky doesn't care if there's clouds. So why does my mind care that there's thoughts?
Oh, wow. That's so good now. That's a writer downer. It's a writer downer. That's so good. I know that unfortunately in our generation, we tend to talk a lot about depression, and when we're going through a sad moment, we're like, I'm depressed. And it's like, are you? Because it must,
sometimes.
yeah, you know, and you know, it's the good thing about it is that it means that we are more in tune with how we feel. We are acknowledging how we feel, and we are definitely nowadays getting more into activities like journaling and therapy, life coaching. It's getting more popular now, which I really do appreciate that. I'm seeing that, you know, mental awareness is definitely a thing now among us, which is amazing, but we don't want to misdiagnose ourselves.
Right.
So I guess my question is constant unmotivation a form of depression?
So there's different types of depression. There's like major depressive disorder, which comes about typically from something big in your life happened, and then you're feeling symptoms of depression. There's like a persistent depressive disorder, which is always there and just always happens. The symptoms that you'd feel with these depressive, episodes or depression in general, one of those symptoms could be a lack of motivation. But that's not all it is. So there's many other symptoms that entail depression. So if someone's feeling a lack of motivation, but not feeling all the other symptoms, they wouldn't meet the criteria to be depressed, or to have depression. Lack of motivation in and of itself is something that can happen if you're not, experiencing depression. It can be temporary. It can be, long-standing. I would say that the tricky part of this is that a lot of times a lack of motivation or unmotivation does go along with some other symptoms of depression. So feeling tired, feeling like sad, feeling irritable, feeling angry. And so it could be really tough to figure that out, which is why it can be helpful to Google, why am I feeling this way? But also working with a professional to figure out, like, am I actually experiencing depression, or is this, am I meeting the criteria for that? Which again, there's a whole thing about, how much stake we're putting into those labels and those diagnoses versus how is somebody feeling. That, it's important how somebody feels. So regardless, I would think that from my experience so far in this field, lack of motivation and depression, while one might be more extreme than the other, and might affect more areas of life than the other, I think they both can be sort of worked through in a similar way sometimes. Sometimes depression might require, more tools and things like that. But I think a cool way of working through these things is sort of like putting the cart before the horse is what I have said before. So practicing behaviors that will, like, that either scientifically or from past experience that are going to help you feel better mentally, emotionally. Practicing, like, actually making yourself do these things. Maybe it's just getting out of bed. Maybe it's making a coffee. Maybe it's just sitting and breathing. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it, whatever works for you. But instead of sitting and letting the feelings and the thoughts be controlling, and letting them take over that behavior,
Right.
allow force the behavior sometimes to happen,
Right.
even while you're feeling that way. And eventually, if this works for you, it might be able to help you, the emotions and the thoughts fade
Right.
away from that behavior.
That's so good. Because one of the things, one of my concerns is like, when do you know you are being controlled by your emotions, right? Because there has to be a cutoff point where, okay, you are experiencing what you're experiencing and you're like, okay, yes, I'm acknowledging this is my feeling right now. These are my feelings. But when is what is that fine line between acknowledging your feelings and being controlled by your feelings? And so I think for me, how I would answer that is, I guess when you know you're being controlled by your feelings, when your actions keep shooting you in the foot. And when it constantly does that, that's when you know, all right, you know what? I need to take control, because now I'm being controlled by something else. I'm being controlled by this thing that is separate from me, feelings, which we've just, discovered. And it's like, I don't want to be controlled by that anymore. I must take control so that my actions will benefit me and my actions are not leading me in the wrong direction constantly. So when you constantly find yourself in a place where you have no business being, that is not good for you, it's not edifying to you in any way, shape, or form, it's not healthy for you, it's not you're not getting any gratification out of it, then at that point you have to stop and say, you know what, I think my emotions are taking control here. And I think about like a relationship that you keep going back to that is toxic, but you feel like you want to be with that person still because he satisfies some things. Okay, he satisfies some things, and it's like, I feel like I want that right now. I feel like I want to be here with him right now or with her. But those actions keep leading you in a place where maybe you keep getting physical or emotional or mental abuse from him. At that point, you say, you know what? I need to control my feelings, right? So I think that's one way, or one practical way in which we could define acknowledgement of feelings versus control, your feelings controlling you. I wanted to have a moment of, I guess, transparency, where each of us have felt unmotivated and we've had to like pick ourselves up off the ground or whatever and keep going. Can you think of a moment like that, and how did you get through it?
Yeah. So, well, I think this is, something that you've said at the beginning is like, you feel unmotivated all the time. I feel unmotivated a lot of the time. I think that it has lessened, as I have forced myself to do things and to also live to my purpose, and to my value as I see it right now. That changes, and it's forming, but and a lot of times I have to like accept that I'm on the path that I'm on, and sometimes it feels wonky and I can bring it back. Other times I'm unsure, but then something else will click in and I'm like, yep, this is where I need to be. But having lived to my values and recognized those has helped me to be, more resilient and able to push past a lack of motivation and actually feel motivated to do the things that normally would be daunting or normally would be exhausting. Because I'm like, I know this is going to work out in the end. And I
Right.
need to get this. That being said, it's taken me a long time to get there. I think, yeah, we talked about last time, just I grew up in a home with a single mom who doted on me. I was the only child. And so, my example earlier of like, maybe your parents aren't forcing you to be resilient or to do things when you don't want to. That was my experience. It was like, oh, you don't want to play this sport? You could just go play video games or do whatever you want, which video games, do your thing if that's what you're into. I wasn't into. But one example I can remember of like my first time having to push through unmotivation and all those things that were under unmotivation, the fear, the anxiety, all that stuff was I was trying out for the JV soccer team in 7th grade, and I did all the tryout stuff you have to do, and then the last thing I had to do was run a mile. And I had run before in my life, like I was capable of doing it, but I was so nervous and so anxious and such a baby that I just stopped like mid mile, and I was crying and I was upset, and I was the only one for some reason running it. I think I was auditioning. I went into drama club after that. I was trying out at a time when no one else was for some reason. And the coach let me come back the next day and try again. And I was, fortunate enough where my mom was very kind. She ran it with me. Yeah. Like looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, Kelly, did you really need your mom to do that? But I guess at the time I did. I don't know if things would have gone differently, but I like to think that I could have done it without her running with me, but I'll never know. So a lesson for future parent Kelly, like
I know, right?
Don't run with your kid, just let them
don't run it with them.
Right. But I ended up finishing the mile, making the team, and that sucked, but I'm really glad that it started my journey of going through things that were scary and hard, and I didn't want to do them. And so since then I've just sort of gone through a lot of other stuff, and like full disclosure, I'm clearly, now we can do video and stuff, and I'm a white female, middle class, who didn't have much to fight through, didn't have, a mother that was like, no, you have to try. It was like, it wasn't, I think the only thing she really cared about was like my grades.
Right.
And so I had to do my own homework and stuff. But again, that wasn't something it didn't come too hard for me. So I didn't have to really push through that either. So once I got to college and was like on my own, I think a lot of stuff was harder. And since then, I've also just put myself in places where people will offer me help, like my parents especially, and I'm like, no, I want to be independent and do that. I definitely see there's a value in getting help from people and asking for the help you need. But when you're someone who has come from a place of like constant, here, let me help you, let me do this, it's like, I want to do this. Let me grow. Let me learn to do it on my own. So I've been fortunate to have that experience, but now I'm ready, now I'm ready for, me to grow and to build that muscle of resiliency.
That's so good. I love hearing that. Thank you for sharing that. When did I have to fight through motivation? Every morning. Every morning, because I'm trying to wake up early in the mornings and I'm not a morning person. I've just like, you know what? I've accepted it. I'm not a morning person. I'm waking up at 11 a.m. That's it. That's it. I don't care. But it was not helping me out. Like it was just not enough hours in the day to do what I needed to do to be successful. And so I'm unmotivated in the mornings to get up early, right? And it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing in the bed where I'm just like tossing and turning. I'm imagining myself get up, but I don't actually physically get up, right? And so what I do to push through that, or push, through the unmotivation, is just kind of remind myself of what I want out of life, right? I'm like, do you want to always be here in this space and in this bed? Or do you actually want that $1 million house in that expensive community in Georgia so you can have all the bougie decor that you always love seeing on Pinterest? What do you want? So this is the talk I have to myself every time. I'm like, what?
Big morning talk.
What do you want? And I think about, literally just think about the decor in the house that I want. I think about the Mercedes G series that I want. Okay. I have a very high chest, so I got to live the lives. I have to put in the work to get the life that I want. So, and I also have the, sometimes I set up some physical things. And this is one of the things I encourage people to do in my sessions is find yourself something physical that you can always see or hold on to that will remind you of why you're doing what you're doing. So for me, it's this ring that my mom gave me. It's a birthstone. She gave it to me on my 25th birthday. And she said, I'm giving this to you to always, I don't know why she said to remember me, like I'm going to forget her. I'm like, she's like, when you get big, because I know you're going to get big and I see you as a fantastic entrepreneur and everything. So I just want every time you look down at that ring to remember the support that I'm giving you. Right. And so I never forget that. So that too helps. So having this tangible product here to look on that is always on my body, that I'm reminded of the why. And, again, like the vision, I'm a very visual person. So I do what works for you. You know what I'm saying? If you're a visual person, imagine things. If you are the kind of person that has to write things down, whatever works for you. So for me, I'm visual. So I just envision being in the house that I want. And that is what helps me push past feeling and get through unmotivation and roll out of bed onto the yoga mat to do some stretches. And then after I do the stretches, I never regret it. I never regret waking up early, So yeah, that's what I do.
That's awesome. I love that. I just your idea of having the ring there and having something to think about and connecting that to you're a visual person, you can visualize your future. That's really helpful.
Yeah, it really does help. And it's recently, I always hear about, creating a vision board, but it was not until recently that I literally created an electronic version of a vision board. So every time I open up my computer, I'm seeing images of the house that I want. I'm seeing images of the decor that I like. And I'm seeing images of the car that I want. And I'm like, I'm going to get you. So seeing that on my screen, when I'm getting distracted from doing whatever work I'm supposed to be doing on the computer, I see that on the screen and I go back to the work, so it helps it that way. It really does work. So I definitely, implore people to try that out, see what it does for you. That's what I encourage my clients to do. I'm like, look around your space. What is it that reminds you of your why?
Yeah.
Put it up. If it's a necklace, put it on your neck. Wear it even when you're in the shower, everything. Sometimes we get so used to that one physical object, the significance of it is not as powerful anymore. And so find another thing, don't idolize the thing, just use the thing as a reminder, Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's really cool. I'm going to start to do that. I'm like trying to think of what can I
it could be a pair of earrings, it could be a pair of shoes that your mom gave you at some point, anything, right? Definitely try it out and let me know how that goes.
I will. Very
Okay,
cool.
what are you currently reading right now? I'm just interested to know.
Yeah. Currently I'm reading a bunch of stuff for class. This week has been focused a lot on existentialism, which has a lot to do with what we've talked about. Basically like the 4 conditions of being a human are like fear of death, fear of being alone, fear of meaninglessness in life. So that's only 3 of them, and I'm blanking on the 4th one. Whatever. But basically, like I think those things can kind of be tied to unmotivation too. That like life is meaningless. Well, come to terms with that and figure out your own meaning and work from there. Anyway, so existentialism is pretty cool.
Mhm.
I just finished up a book called A Race is a Nice Thing to Have. It's a guide to being a white person or understanding the white people in your life, by Janet Helms.
And, why do you read even a book like that? Race is a nice thing to have. Like, why do you read that?
I'm reading that because, like, as a white person in America, we're kind of taught that being white doesn't matter, and then we get away with racism that's just inherent in America and in our upbringing and all that kind of stuff. So I want to be better. I want to, do the whole anti-racist thing and fight against those pre-programmed things. And having like that book, and then White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo, and some podcasts that Robin DiAngelo is on have been really helpful in separating like the things that are ingrained in America and in being raised in America, especially as a white person, to think that racism means, like, if you're racist, then you're a bad person. But so that makes it easy for a white person to say, well, I'm not a bad person, so I'm not racist.
Right.
But if you're living in America, you're living in a system that is inherently racist. So in order to like really critically look at my own view, my own interactions with the system around me, my own interaction with the people around me, I am actively seeking out guidance and help to undo all of that learning that's been done.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Trying.
Yeah. You were saying something else?
Just trying. Trying my best.
You're trying. That's good. Personal development, personal work is always necessary, which is why I don't even read as many novels anymore.
Right.
Which it kind of sucks the fun out of reading a little bit for me. But if I do read, it's going to be a book that helps me with my spirituality, or a book that helps me just become a better person.
Right.
So for now, I'm reading Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, which is a very popular book. Everybody and their mama hear about that book. I've been hearing about it. It's been recommended to me by a friend of mine. And, this time around, on the 17th time, it's been recommended to me. I've decided to go to Amazon to buy the book. And it's pretty good, It speaks on the power of perspective, and we kind of touched on that too in our conversation, just the power of perspective, and how when it is changed to a more positive one, that your attitude will follow suit. Your attitude will follow suit, which means your actions will follow suit, which means your life will be better, because your life is just a combination of actions, right? Combination of habits, small little things that you do here and there. So if you want your life to be wholesome, if you want it to be great, then you got to do a bunch of great stuff, great little things here and there. But you can't do those great things here and there if you have a bad perspective or a poor perspective. So change it to one, shift it to a perspective that'll, cause you to do some good things.
Yeah.
Cause you to do, because sometimes.
Right. Yeah. The conglomeration of all the actions that you've done. Every little thing can count.
Yeah. And looking at it from that, it can be so overwhelming when you look at it that way. But it's true. That's literally how it goes. Right.
It doesn't have to be overwhelming either. If we can break it down to step by step.
There we go.
Then it's like, I only have to do this one little thing to reach my goal.
Oh, that's true. That's true. If I do that one little thing for a couple of days, then I can get that goal. And then you create another goal for yourself, which would require another set of small little steps.
Yep.
And then you create another goal, and then so on and so forth. Before you know it, your life is great.
You have the Mercedes.
We have the Mercedes. Yes. But yeah, so I want to thank you for coming on here with me.
Thank you for having me. I'm just honored to be here. This was awesome.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to just kind of put our conversations out there because they be lit. We have good, dope conversations, and I just wanted to, include people in on it and speak on something that I think people would really be grateful for or benefit from. So I really hope that people got something. I know I got a lot out of it. I was writing my notes. And so people that you have suggested who's written books or who, come up with a quote that can really help change perspective, right? I've written that down, like Carl Rogers, right? For sure. So that's definitely a lot of stuff that I'll take with me. I want to thank you.
Yeah.
And it's been a great time. All right. Yeah. And of course, we'll talk off this, after this, all that good stuff. All right.
Okay. Thanks, Shanese.